We bring you a lot of stories about Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. His office often makes news for lawsuits concerning immigration, gun rights, abortion, and your right to vote, but we rarely hear from the Attorney General himself. Over the past year, our reporters have submitted dozens of requests for interviews and information to the Texas Attorney General's office. We have received exactly 0 responses, and Ryan Chandler investigates why you don't hear more from the AG.
It's crickets inside and out at Attorney General Ken Paxton's office. This office has made a lot of noise recently. More than 200 press releases in the last year, in fact. And in just the last month, Ken Paxton has sued Bexar County for voter registration programs, Austin for an out-of-state abortion fund, and Dallas for the state fair's firearm ban. All lawsuits that have real impact on people's lives and carry a real cost to taxpayers. They demand real answers. But all we get in response to our questions is crickets.
Democracy runs on information. The flow of that information, 2 ways, is essential. Today, the path of least resistance is controlling your own media destiny through your own media. You want to talk threat to democracy? That is an existential threat to democracy.
This deceitful impeachment attempt.
This was 506 days ago, one of only 2 press conferences Paxton has held since.
Thank you all very much.
He did not take questions.
Are you going to answer General Paxton?
General Paxton,
we're not taking questions in the press conference.
Email data that we obtained through the Texas Public Information Act shows the main press contact in the AG's office received over 2,700 emails in the last 6 months. They responded to 8.
I have a problem with the person spending my tax dollars not being accountable to me.
And Paxton's office spends a lot on their press team. The communications director makes more than $213,000 a year. That's more than the White House press secretary.
We need to be careful about the people we're electing because we need to make sure that they're going to be accountable and responsive to the public.
Paxton's allies suggest the estranged relationship is the press's fault.
I want you to imagine everything associated with your name for 10 years is Ken Paxton under indictment for securities fraud.
His impeachment attorney explains why Paxton primarily speaks to conservative outlets.
Certainly you see it on a national level that the media is captured for the Democrats, and Republicans are tired of it, and some of them have said, look, I'm not talking to you anymore.
Longtime journalists argue the press can do more to improve the relationship.
The press owes it to the public first to go the extra mile in trying to be as fair and balanced and equal, in all capital letters, boldface, as it's humanly possible to be. I don't think that happens all the time, to be quite frank about it.
We gave the Attorney General's press team more than a week to respond to our questions related to this story. We did not receive a response. Ryan Chandler, State of Texas.
On Thursday, we received another news release from Paxton's office. This one, a statement on the state's challenge to the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program known as DACA. The Obama-era federal program offers protection to people brought to the United States illegally when they were children, letting them stay in the country without fear of deportation. Paxton's office is fighting to end those protections. And on Thursday, the federal Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals heard the state's challenge to DACA. Judging by his news release, Paxton thought it went well. He wrote, "The court was receptive to our arguments that DACA continues to violate the rule of law and the separation of powers requirement enshrined by the United States Constitution." Paxton added that he looks forward to defeating DACA permanently. Protests happen outside the Fifth Circuit Courthouse in New Orleans, where the Texas AG's office argued the case. At stake is the future of about 500,000 people who have long established lives in the U.S., even though they are not citizens or legal residency status, and face potential deportation. A key element of the arguments before the appeals panel is whether the state of Texas has shown it has standing to bring a lawsuit and whether a lower court judge in Texas had authority to issue a nationwide ruling. A ruling last year by a district judge in Texas claimed President Barack Obama overstepped his constitutional authority to create DACA. It is unclear when or how the Fifth Circuit will rule on the question of if the program can remain in effect. It is likely that the case will eventually end up before before the Supreme Court.
We all know we depend on clean water and clean air to survive, to thrive.
There is a new call to change the Texas Constitution. It's part of a nationwide movement. Why some lawmakers want you to vote on new environmental protections.